Marietta Mehanni, and this week's muscle conditioning tip, we're going to be using the Swiss ball and we're going to be working predominantly the back of the upper arm, so the triceps. But when you're using a ball, there's always so much else going on than just the muscles that you're trying to target. There's all these other muscles that are involved to help with maintaining stability and control over the actual exercise. So starting with an anti-burst ball, it's really important as an anti-burst for this particular exercise. The last thing you want it to do is pop while you're using it. If you get a good quality ball, you will never have an issue. I've been using AOK balls and balls from Australian Barbell Company for several years now, and in fact none of them have ever had a problem, and they're all still around. Like this is 10, 15 years on, still the same ball, hasn't changed shape. Yes, I do have to pump air into them every now and again because they do lose a bit of air over time, but that's about it. So they're the two companies I highly recommend to purchase good quality balls from. You also will need a non-slip surface. So if you're on a wooden floor or a tile floor, make sure you've got something like a yoga mat that's going to stop your feet from sliding, or your ball from sliding in fact. So starting by sitting on top of the ball, walk your feet forwards so that your weight is now shifted into your legs a little bit. Take your fingers out. Now this ball's got grooves on the sides, so it's going to stop my hands from sliding out. That's another little important tip as well. So fingers spread apart, fingers turned away from the buttocks, and shift your weight onto your hands. Now, such a cool exercise because just doing that requires you to work your triceps to keep that ball stable. Now, I'm quite still, but if it's your first time, you might find that you really wobble a lot and you've got to sit back and have a little bit of a rest every now and again. If you're teaching Group X classes, this is always your first exercise that you deliver. You might be surprised at how unstable some people are with their shoulders, upper body and their wrists. So keep this as being your first option. So I usually give this as a first option and people can hold themselves here for as long as they feel comfortable and then sit back down on the ball if necessary. If they've got any wrist pathology, this exercise is not ideal because there's going to be quite a lot of extension on the wrist and it's going to be uncomfortable for them. So you'll need to give them another option for this particular exercise. So that's level one, that's the first exercise. So if you want to progress, we start bending the elbows. So coming off the ball again, fingers spread apart, holding yourself up there. Now drop yourself down and up. So just move your feet a little bit further forward so you've got some space to move your backside so that it's keeping clear of the ball. Bend the elbows as much as you can and straighten the arms out. So bend, straighten, bend, straighten. Now notice that my feet are actually fairly close together. You can do this with your feet further apart to increase your base of support and feel a bit more comfortable. But if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, bring your feet closer together. So that's option number 2. So when I'm teaching a group exercise class, I do around about 8 to 16 repetitions of that and then give people a bit of a break to just release to their wrist. During that time, I'll demonstrate the next exercise. So while they're having a little bit of a rest, they get to see what they can do next. So if they want to work a little bit harder, then it is time to lift one leg up off the floor. So we always can reduce space of support and increase intensity. So coming forwards again, down here, leg can be out or it can be crossed over. It's a little bit easier if it's crossed over. When it's out here, there's a little bit more effort required, especially because you've got to hold your leg up off the floor rather than resting it. And I usually do around about 8 to 10 repetitions of this and then swap over to the other side. So if I'm using music, I'll do 8 repetitions. And then lift up, lower down, breathe out, lower down, breathe out. So from pelvic floor safe point of view, these ones, when they start lifting feet up off the floor, have a little bit more force. And it depends on where the pelvic floor is as far as the dysfunction. Do you have a prolapse, or do you just have some weakness and you have some incontinence? Make sure you get assessed by a women's health physio. That's super important. But if you don't feel comfortable doing them, then you just stay with your hands on the ball. So where can we go from here? So there's one more level, and that is to do it with one arm. So both feet stay on the floor, and you just do it with one arm. So as you come forwards, you shift your load so that you're stabilising on one arm, and you're dropping down and coming back up again. Now, the more you turn to the side, the easier the exercise is. The more you turn towards the front, where your body is facing, the more challenging that exercise becomes. So we just do it showing, facing you. So coming forwards, making sure that your feet are on the non-slip mat. And I'll just do the same thing. So feet on this non-slip mat. So coming up, dropping down and coming up. So quite challenging. Now think, if you've got any wrist issues, for sure that's going to really aggravate it. If you don't, it's a cool exercise to do. It's really challenging trying to keep that ball stable. Your triceps work so much harder because you're trying to stabilise the body at the same time as lifting your own body weight and load. So lots of different options there. Holding, moving feet together, lifting one foot up off the floor at a time, holding one leg up off the floor, and using one arm and both feet on the floor. And they're all great little alternatives and options for working the upper body with no weights. And that's this week's muscle conditioning tip.